Hi everyone, Mountain Rodmore here, and I am back to talk about Big Brother 24. It is currently September 8th, and it is the day of the double eviction that has everyone on pins and needles. We all kind of know how the first part is going to go, but there are so many variables at play as far as what happens in the second part. Like, I will not have an official prediction of what's going to happen until the veto in the double eviction. Like once we see who wins that, then I think we will have a good idea about what's about to happen. But before I get started on my notes from the past couple of days, there was one thing I came up with over the weekend. I was watching Peridium, one of the great Big Brother YouTubers. He did a compilation of the greatest goodbye messages of all time, and there were some pretty great ones in there. Of course, it ended with Angela's goodbye message to Rachel in BB20. What's wrong with Rachel? I mean, what's wrong with Angela? Was Rachel saying that about Angela? That that was something else. And I don't even think Angela needed to be that mean, but sure, why not? Of course, Taylor and Michael from this season, their goodbye messages to Smelvis were in there. They were pretty great. And Hannah last year, her goodbye message to Brent was top tier. But anyway, I was watching that video and I started to think if I was on Big Brother and I got to send a goodbye message to someone I really didn't like, what would I say? And this is what I came up with. All right, for argument's sake, we're gonna call the evicted house guest Connor. The evicted house guest I don't like. His name is Connor because Connor was the first jerk name I could think of. So this would be my goodbye message to the jerk, who we are calling Connor today. Connor, they say if you have nothing nice to say about someone, don't say anything at all. So, and scene. That's just. I would just literally not say anything after that. Hey, well, that's what I'd do. But enough about me. You're not here for me. You're here for BB24. So my last stream was Monday. It was after the veto had not been used. Terrence and Alyssa remain on the block at the hands of Michael, who had complete control this week, HOH and veto. 9 total wins in one season, which is insane. Anyway, um, so first up, I've got Monty talking about Taylor, and I didn't specify if he was talking about Taylor or to Taylor. I don't think he was talking to her, but he says that he figures that she is more loyal to the big Brochella group, which is them two, Michael and Brittany. More loyal to them than this supposed female alliance that is apparently brewing, which Brittany warned the guys about before it even formed, and then Brittany helped form it just so she could be right about it. That was messy for sure. She figures that I mean he figures that she would target Turner and Alyssa. He would. My God, I'm mixing up pronouns everywhere. She would target them. She would at least put them up, and then like that'd be fine because then him and Michael could then honor their gentleman's agreement, which is what we're calling it. They'd honor the agreement and keep Turner safe, vote Alyssa out. Of course, this is assuming that Michael actually does decide to go along with this and not just take the shot at the second biggest comp threat in the house, Turner, who still has 7 less wins than him. I guess 6 if you want to count the first part of the HOH on premiere night. But yeah, Turner is the closest thing Michael has to competition, and there is a very real chance he could win HOH tonight. So that's not nothing. But yeah, if Turner and Alyssa are on the blog, I think Michael. We know how big a super fan he is. I don't think he would. He would pass up that opportunity. Um, this was a doozy. Terrence. Terrence asked Taylor why they haven't been able to work together. We have to get past this wall that's between us. You mean this wall that you built every time you said something disparaging about her? Is that it? You know, like the wall that you built when you tried to keep Kyle last week over Taylor? What do you think? We all just forgot you tried to do that? Anyway, he goes on to say that Alyssa and Jasmine wanted her out instead of Nicole, but he didn't. Terrence is like, I did not want that, and that's why they flipped. And he just keeps pressing and pressing and pressing. And then Taylor kind of snaps, but like in a good way. This is what I have. I put this in quotes. These are Taylor's exact words. I have struggled with the choice in front of me. Is it the white girl who cries all the time, or the black man who tried to get me evicted next to somebody who did something racist? Oh, wow. That was something. Hearing her say that was like, oh my God. Oh, she just buried him right there. And initially, Terrence is just kind of stuttering after this. Hey, Scarlet Rain 88, thank you for being here. Sorry. Um, Ultimately, he's able to get himself back on track, and ultimately, he goes on to say that, when we were at Dire Fest, I should have taken out Alyssa. And I mean, yeah, that definitely would have ensured, or most likely ensured, that we would have gotten our leftovers final seven, which is what we all really wanted, because Terrence wouldn't have even been able to play HOH when there were 8 people left. So whoever won would probably go for him, although Turner was the one who won, so maybe not. I don't know. So he says that he should have taken out Alyssa at Dire Fest, and I'm kind of hoping that Taylor tells this to Alyssa. I don't really think she did though, because I never really heard, never really heard anything about it again. Orange Crush today. Hopefully, I will stop choking on my own words, which is exactly what I will do if I try to make any sort of prediction as to what's going to happen in the second part of the double eviction tonight. I will choke on my words almost immediately. A leftovers final seven would have been amazing. Yeah, it really would have been. Joseph had stayed and he was able to get that HOH. Like, let's say Alyssa did leave. Terrence is the only non leftover left in the house. And then Joseph was able to pull out the HOH win the week of the final 8. Terrence definitely would have gone. Oh, I don't know. That competition was kind of made for Turner. They had to stack the. It was the mini. Well, usually mini veto, but this year it was mini HOH. But yeah, Terrence keeps talking to Taylor. He just keeps going, and she's like more or less engaging with him, but it's pretty obvious they were lying to each other the whole time. they don't trust each other. And, with Taylor, I understand why. Terrence, he's never trusted her for some reason. Taylor really tried with Terrence, and he had no interest. So, yeah, you can't say I blame her. Uh, Turner and Alyssa. Ooh, I wouldn't trust Terrence at all at this point. No, she does not. Turner and Alyssa. They talk about Brittany playing all sides and her forming a final two with Alyssa, and Turner being like, she formed a final two with me. And it's just all over the place. And they're comparing notes, and it's like Brittany is getting slowly buried through her own actions. I mean, it's like Kyle. Kyle's own words came back to haunt him. Obviously, I don't think Brittany's words are as egregious as his, but it's bad gameplay on her part. And, in some ways, it was good at first because it did kind of start working out in hers and Michael's favor, but she just did too much. And now Turner's saying that he wants to nominate her, and I'm like, hey, it's not Taylor. That's really all I care about at this point. Like, I know there's a lot of variables that could happen with the double eviction tonight, but whatever path we take, as long as it doesn't lead to Taylor being evicted, I'm okay with it. I would not be at all surprised if I wake up tomorrow morning and find out she's been voted out. Brittany, you mean? Yeah, that's it's possible. Certainly possible. But again, I don't want to make too many predictions because let's think about it. Five people are ostensibly eligible to win HOH. I mean, it depends on the comp. Some people will probably have a better shot than others. But yeah, there's five people that can win HOH, and then they're all competing for veto, all six of them. That is 30 combinations right there of HOH and veto winner. 30. Uh, Taylor is talking to Alyssa, and she says that she got trapped with Terrence. And I'm like, that is what it felt like to me. I'm just thinking, oh my god, Taylor is stuck with this man right now. And then Taylor confirms, yeah, she was trapped with him. But there is nothing he can say to her at this point. Like, basically confirming to Alyssa, like, I am not voting you out. And Alyssa goes on to say that she wants her in the game. And I'm like, Alyssa, this is nice to hear now, but where was this in the beginning? You know? Like, do you think we forgot? Like, we all remember. You were part of it. You were part of all the anti Taylor crap in the beginning. You were not the ringleader, but you were a pretty loyal follower to the likes of Paloma and Jasmine and Amira and Indy. It is amazing how much I forget about Indy. Like, she made it to jury, and I remember her probably the least of anybody this season. With Jasmine, I remember her because of just what a mental toll it took to watch her. Paloma and Amira, I remember because they were out pretty quick. Nicole, I remember because Smelvis ruined her game, even though she was number one, because he was a complete idiot. Indy lasted 6 weeks in this game and did nothing. She did not win anything. She was just like she she didn't really have much of a social game beyond bashing Taylor, but she didn't even start it. She just kind of hopped on the bandwagon really late. It's just like I don't care about Indy at all. She gave nothing this season. Indy is the equivalent, is the BB24 equivalent of Travis from last year, who also did nothing in the entire time he was in the house. But he has an excuse for not being memorable. He was the first one evicted. Indy was the first juror. Ugh. I don't know why I just went on this Indy rant. But yeah, it's like the amount of nothing she gave is staggering. And it's just time I said something about it. But yeah, going back to my original point, Alyssa says that she wants Taylor in the game. And I'm like, you know what? All I'm hearing is if Alyssa wins HOH, she may not go for Taylor, and that's fine with me. Remember, I mentioned this in the last stream. I did a randomizer to pick the next HOH, and it picked Alyssa. And even then, I did not think that would be the worst possible outcome. But there are now multiple outcomes that would be like, this might not be too bad. Might not. That is the key word. Might. Uh, we got another Alyssa note here. Alyssa was doing a lot, actually, and she's on the block, so I guess it's time. So, what would be the worst possible outcome for tonight? Uh, Turner winning HOH, nominating Brittany and Taylor because he is still pretty close with Alyssa, and then Brittany winning the veto, and then, well, no, I guess, actually, no. Taylor and Brittany staying on the block, and them deciding, you know what, we need Brittany around just because she's messy, and voting out Taylor. I guess Michael winning the veto and pulling off Brittany in that point would be pretty messy, but then again, it would force Turner's hand, so that could be awkward for him. Like, I guess he'd put up Alyssa, and then Alyssa's mad at him because he wouldn't want her to go. Like, it'd be up to Michael and Brittany at that point if they decide, I think we're better off sticking with Alyssa than Taylor. The worst possible outcome would be Turner winning HOH, Michael and Brittany both being able to vote, and they both decide to vote out Taylor. That would be the worst. That would just be the pinnacle of betrayal. Anyway, Alyssa was talking to Monty about Brittany, and Monty says, if you decide to go for Brittany, I won't be mad. And I'm just thinking, that's good for him, Michael, and Turner. Their gentleman's agreement because at least two of them would be voting in that case, and they would control the vote. And if one of them's on the block, then they vote to keep him. And Monty tells her that everyone wants her to stay, which is true, I think, at this point. I would be very surprised if it doesn't go that way. I think it'll probably be unanimous 4-0 Vic Terrence, and no one will be upset about it. Sorry. So Turner tells Michael and Monty about Brittany. He heard Brittany made a final two with Alyssa. And Turner goes on to call Brittany a mix of Nicole, Amira, and Pooch. Dang. I mean, he's not entirely wrong because Nicole's game was very self destructive. Amira thought she was way too comfortable, and Pooch was just a darn fool. And yeah, Brittany is showing shades of all three of those things. Yes, Scarlet, that is quite a mix. Turner then talks to Taylor about Brittany, and he's just laying everything out. His final two with her. Uh, her talking about this female alliance, and Brittany saying that Taylor's HOH was too chaotic. And I'm like, it wasn't supposed to be. Everyone else in the leftovers kind of made it more difficult than it had to be. You should have just let her go for Terrence like she wanted, and we wouldn't be in this mess right now. Just never forget, Taylor was right. Hashtag Taylor was right. And Taylor tells him that Brittany is saying to nominate Turner and Alyssa next week. That's who she wants to go up. And Turner says he wants to go for Brittany with Alyssa sitting next to her. And I'm not sure he means it. He has been very anti-Taylor for a while now. As as is usually the case with people who don't like Taylor. Not really sure why, but he just is now. So yeah, I'm not sure he means this. I think he would do Brittany and Taylor. And Taylor, she decides honesty is the best policy. She says that she may end up putting him on the block just because she doesn't really want to promise anything because she feels that maybe she overpromised on her first HOH, which she kind of did. But but yeah, she just tells that to Turner like I might put you on a block, and Turner tells this to Monty later on, and he's actually not mad about it. I guess he probably sort of figured it. So I guess sometimes honesty is the best policy, even in the Big Brother house. So this was an interesting one. Brittany and Michael are talking. She is worried about the two of them if Monty or Turner were to win HOH. And, Michael's just kind of like, mm-hmm. When, of course, he knows that he'll probably be safe with them, and he probably would not go up. And he asks her if she said anything, uh, she said anything about Taylor when she spoke to Turner, like if she came up in the conversation at all. And Brittany denies it, but Michael knows that is not true because Turner has told him just about everything. So he basically caught her in a lie here. So, yeah. Brittany and Taylor talking. They agree. They're voting out Terrence. And Brittany tries to say that Monty and Turner are really close, but Taylor doesn't really think so. At least not in that way. And Brittany's actually right about this one. It's just that she's been so all over the place lately that no one's sure they can trust her anymore. But yeah, this one she's right. I guess Brittany is just the house guest who cried wolf. Um, yeah, Michael. I think this was a cam talk. I think he was just. I'm pretty sure he was alone at this point. And he confirms Brittany is still his number one in the game, but he won't go down with the ship. I think he seems to realize that she's possibly talking herself out the door. And I mean, Michael being in the game without Brittany, he'll be fine. You know, he's basically in the same spot he already is anyway. He just has to keep winning as much as he can to get to the end. But if Michael were to leave before Brittany, Brittany would be fairly hopeless, I think. She wouldn't even know what to do with herself. Um, Monty is telling Monty later tells Michael and Turner that if he were to win HOH, he's going to put up Brittany and Alyssa because Taylor has actually been giving him some valuable information. And so now I'm just thinking maybe a Monty HOH won't be that bad. I think Taylor might be possibly his replacement nominee if need be. But yeah, I'm really starting to get to the point where like I'm a little less worried about Taylor going home. A little. Like before, I was like at a 9 out of 10. Now 6.5, maybe. Like it could still happen, but there's a lot of variables. The big variable being the fact that it's a double eviction, and that tends to speed up people's thought processes in the game. Monty and Taylor, they talk about Brittany. Monty again says he's going to put up Brittany and Alyssa. And I'm glad he's not leaning towards putting up Taylor at this point. But I think the fact that he's not saying outright that he's going to go for Michael should be raising some red flags. At least that was what I was thinking at first. But but the conversation does eventually kind of go that way. Like if a certain someone doesn't win veto, then maybe we should think about it. And I know Taylor will take that shot at Michael. There's no doubt in my mind. Monty, I don't know how serious he is about this gentleman's agreement. Again, these were my thoughts when this conversation was happening. They both, Monty and Taylor, they both say that they would want Alyssa out first over Brittany because, as Monty puts it, he thinks Brittany is acting a fool, but that's not a reason to evict her. And I mean, that is reasonable, Brittany is not much of a comp threat, and she's a bigger target in front of you, so in some ways, yeah, she is worth keeping around. Then we get a Taylor Cam talk. And this is where we really Cam talk's always good because this is where you can really get a read on someone. Because, they're saying different things to everyone. So a Cam talk is a good way to find out where they really stand. I'd evict Brittany because that takes away a shield from Michael. Yeah. Well, this is what Taylor says to the camera. She says that Brittany cannot go because it'd be bad for her game. Which is true because she does need as many shields in front of her as she can get. She needs her in the game, but she doesn't have to trust her. She says that Turner and Alyssa have to go, but if she gets the veto, or if you know who doesn't get the veto, then She would want Turner versus Michael on the block. And Taylor, you get that shot. It all lines up for you. Go for it. So, so yeah, Taylor does not want Brittany out right now because she needs her as a shield. Turner and Alyssa have to go just because I think she trusts them the least. But again, if that shot's available at Michael, then she's going to do what she's got to do. She'll be the Steve to Michael's Vanessa. Because Vanessa was absolutely going to win Big Brother 17, but she lost the final HOH to Steve. And Steve was like, well, it's either evict you or lose to you, so bye, Vanessa. So, yeah. And sure enough, he won 6-3. It was the right call for him. It'd be the right call for Taylor. Of course, this would be a little bit earlier, so Taylor would have to worry about um, the target shifting to her a little bit sooner. She had to get through a couple weeks fighting for survival. But I mean, just thinking of how hard she's fought already just to get here. I mean, they wanted her out week one, and then they almost wanted her out week two until Pooch got stupid, and then Turner initially wanted her out week three, but then realized, you know what? Maybe if I band together with her and a couple other people, we can actually flip the game around. And boy, did they. Turner and Michael on the block would be very interesting. Yes, it would. So I think Taylor has already fought her way out of so many nasty situations and positions that would be rough to get out of in the Big Brother house. She's done it before. Who's to say she can't do it again? Hmm? She does not give up. So who's to say that if she does manage to take out Michael tonight, who's to say that she can't get out of it? She's certainly going to try. Then we get a Monty and Turner conversation that was pretty interesting to hear. Um, they finally admit that it would be foolish to not take the shot at Michael if it's possible. And I'm just like, this is what the internet has been yelling at you for days. It's funny because, like, for the most part, the internet seems to enjoy Michael more than Monty and Turner. Like, Michael is not without his detractors, but people like him more than those two. But at the same time, part of the reason people are so mad at Monty and Turner lately is because, like, why aren't you trying to take him out? Like, people just want the game to be played. And what they say is that they plan to put Alyssa and Brittany up first of all, which I think Monty will do. Turner, I'm not 100% sure. I think he will put up Taylor and Brittany. But I no longer believe that Taylor is anybody's direct target. I feel like she might be an option in Turner's case, or maybe even Monty's case, if certain scenarios go a certain way. But I don't think Alyssa's going to put Taylor up. I don't think Brittany's going to put Taylor up. That being said, I would just love it if Taylor was able to win HOH for herself, and then we have nothing to worry about. Like, honestly, if Taylor wins HOH tonight, I will just sit back and watch the rest of the episode, not freaking out, because I will be totally okay with whatever happens. Even if Taylor doesn't decide to take Michael out when she has the chance, you know, there are some ways that having Michael in the game is good for her as well because he is also a shield. Hmm. I do disagree with Taylor on one point, though. She says that Brittany can't go. She needs her. I'm not so sure about that. Hmm. If Brittany goes, I think Michael will replace her with Taylor as his right hand. So Brittany leaving, it might actually work out in Taylor's favor if it were to happen. Now, this is the last thing I had uh, written in my notes. It's not the last thing that happened, but I put it separately because I want to talk about it. Um, Terrence, on his way out the door, he is planning a brutal eviction speech against Taylor. You know, not Michael, the HOH and veto winner. Taylor had no power this week. Taylor's only had power once, and she did not take him out. She initially wanted to, and she should have. Hashtag Taylor was right. But it's just going back to what he said earlier about, like, what is this wall between us? It's like you treating her like garbage. It's a garbage wall that you built with your own thoughts. Your thoughts are garbage, and it built a wall of garbage. And he's telling this to Monty, and Monty's just like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, okay, good for you, Monty. Thanks for having her back. So it's just like I can't stand Terrence. He is. I said this last night on social media. Terrence might be the reason that I no longer immediately root for the old people on Big Brother anymore. I mean, this guy is horrendous. And this might be a bold comment right here, but I think Kyle has a better chance of learning from his comments than Terrence does of learning from his. Okay, this is just who Terrence is, and he's not going to change ever. He's been like this for 47 years. What reason does he have to change? So yeah, if Terrence ever decides to show his face on social media, he is getting blocked with the quickness from me. I'll tell you that right now. Not even a mute. Like, he is straight up blocked. And this is something I said to my dad after he was nominated. How he was laughing about the whole thing, just laughing at Michael, and just being a total whiny jerk about it. I'm like, you are from the south side of Chicago. From what I've heard, that is like the toughest part of Chicago. How are you so whiny and weak? I don't understand it. Just Terrence can't go soon enough. He should have gone when Taylor was HOH. They shouldn't have talked her out of it. And in some ways, I almost feel like maybe they should have evicted him over Amira. Yeah, I went there. So yeah, that's where everything stands right now. I do want to go back to your comments, Scarlett. Turner and Michael on the block. Uh, let's say Taylor wins HOH. She does manage to get Turner and Michael on the block together. Brittany would vote to evict Turner. Alyssa, I think, would vote to evict Michael. Monty, he's got to break the agreement one way or the other, and he's closer to Turner. So yeah, I think 2-1, Michael would go in that case. Alyssa and Monty would vote Michael out if it's Turner versus Michael. I prefer Turner to go, but I understand that Michael is a huge threat. If I was in that house right now, he'd be my number one target, and no one would be able to talk me out of it. All right, that's all my notes. Let's let's check to see if anything's happened. Probably not. Oh, okay. Something has happened. Queen Elizabeth died. I knew she was ailing, but yeah, she has officially passed away at the age of 96. And Scarlett, I know you are British, so my heart goes out to you because now you have to deal with Charles. And like from what I've gathered, public opinion on Queen Elizabeth was kind of split, but it seems like just about everybody hates Charles. Oh, yep, Scarlett just saw your tweet. R.I.P. Queen Elizabeth. All right, so I'm just scrolling through a bunch of tweets about the Queen right now. I don't think I'm going to see a lot of Big Brother stuff on my timeline right now. I wonder if, like, I imagine this is probably going to be all over every channel. Like, I may not be in the UK, but it's not like we don't know who Queen Elizabeth is over here. So I wonder if the news of her passing is gonna. I don't mean to sound cold about this. Like, if this happens, and nothing that can be done about it. But I'm just wondering if Big Brother will be preempted tonight by coverage of the Queen's passing. If that's what happens, you know, I get it. But yeah, I'm not really finding anything Big Brother related right now. Hmm. Well, I did see this earlier, and I thought it was pretty cool, and also kind of just fascinating. It's a visual representation of all the HOHs and veto winners, and just uh, just look at how much Michael is in this. Like Michael is in every line, like in every row. I mean, yeah, week 4, week 6. Those are the only 2 weeks that Michael has been vulnerable. Those were Monty's and Taylor's HOHs, though, and they were 100% leftover loyal at that point, so he wasn't actually in any danger. then either. Like I said in your last stream, they may as well name him HOH for the rest of the season and give him all the vetoes. Well, he's coming for all the vetoes. Like his mentality now is like the next time I'm vulnerable for elimination, then I'm gone. And he's right. At least I think he is. I mean, I can't even say that anymore just because of how close he, Turner, and Monty have gotten. But you know, it was really I didn't realize this when I was writing my notes, but I was watching Taryn earlier. He pointed out that like Taylor was really the one who kind of got Monty on this back on this train of like, oh yeah, if we get the shot of Michael, maybe we should get him. Oh, someone's asking if Julie's going to tell the house guests that Queen Elizabeth died. Um, I doubt it. I think that'd be I don't know. I feel like that'd be kind of awkward. Like, oh, Queen Elizabeth died. Anyway, time for tonight's eviction. I don't know. I feel like it'd be kind of awkward. All right. I think I'm gonna call it here. Um, Kind of a slow update day. For me, I'm going off updates to get my notes together. People like Taryn and Nerdtainment, they watch the feeds, and they sometimes talk too low, and I can't hear them. So it's hard for me to watch the feeds because of that. And like I said, feeds are pretty slow today. You know, they may not even be awake yet. It's only just before 11 a.m. in California right now. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a day here. Thank you, Scarlet Rain 88, for watching. Again, my condolences for the Queen, and yeah, I will talk to you next time. Maybe I will do one tonight after the double eviction, just just to see. It depends on how it goes. Like I may do one tonight. I may be so angry at it that I never do one again. Again, a lot of variables going into tonight. But yes, that will do it for me. I will see you next time. Peace out.